All right, it's week 11 of the Beginner Boost, and we're going to jump right in. We got a lot of cover today. We're going to talk about multiplexers. So, what is a multiplexer? Why should I care? A multiplexer means multiple screen. So, plex means screen, cineplex, that kind of thing. Where you go see movies, right? So, a multiplexer is how to use multiple screens. And I just wanted to show you really quickly. If you go out to do a search for monitors or a VT100 monitor. Let's go look up some images on this. You can see we've looked at these before, but these are the original screens, right? And there were a lot of different types of monitors and stuff back then. And actually, as a side note, if you go to my YouTube channel and search for cool retro terminal, oops, I'll turn this off. If you search for retro, you can go see two terminals, one apps, TMUX, and this is actually, there's a really great. It's got a shader on it, really fun. I believe I was the first person actually on Twitch to ever stream using a retro terminal. It's pretty popular now. I've seen it a couple times. Um, anyway, this video goes into how you can use. So this is what I was looking at, and how you can use TMUX, which stands for terminal multiplexer, to chop up your screen. And this actually shows you can actually pretend to have an old monitor if you want. It's kind of fun. It has a little burn in built into it. It's really kind of cool. I mean, I wouldn't do it for any amount of time. It probably hurts your eyes, but I wanted to show you this just so you can get excited about it and know what's coming. So as you can see, this and this, they're the same thing. They're two applications that are logged into the same thing, and they're sharing a TMUX session. We're going to get to that later, but these streams go back, God, I don't know how long ago. This was like one of the very first things I ever streamed. Yeah, there it is, Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. Wow, that is like got to be at least one of the very first weeks that I ever streamed. So, but these just let's talk about some terms for a second, okay? So, the term screen is the overall screen, right? We tend to use the word display now, but we can call it a screen. So this is a screen. And back in this day, you only had one screen. Having two monitors was a luxury, and if you did that, you couldn't fit it in your house because they were so big. So this is all pre-multi-monitor stuff. So that's where it's coming from. But here's the rest of the terminology. So when you split up a screen, a single screen, right? A screen is composed of windows, right? And I know that's a word that's used all over the place, but in a very strict sense, the program screen that we're going to look at and the program TMUX are both Windows managers. And the problem is if you do a search for window managers, you're going to find a whole bunch of talk about i3 versus GNOME versus this and this. Those are all graphical window managers, right? So we're talking about terminal window manager. So a window is the full amount of the screen that you're looking at. That's a window, right? And the idea is that you can close that window and open another window on the same screen. See what I'm doing here? I'm making sure to use these words properly because we're going to use them later. And that's all good, right? And then what? And then you've got panes of the window. So the window's got little panes cut out on it, okay? And panes are a relatively modern thing. They weren't around until TMUX came out, which I don't even know when that was. I began using TMUX in 2013, and never looked back at it. But I want to introduce you to these ideas and these concepts really quickly. Just give you an overview of what we're going to do. We're going to do three things, right? We're going to look at the original terminal multiplexer, the program called Screen, that came out in the 1980s or so, and then we're going to look at TMUX and how it builds on what Screen offered, and then we're going to look at how to configure TMUX in the way that I prefer to do it. Now, again, this is people have very vastly different opinions on how you should use all of this stuff and where you should do it, and I'm just going to show you what I do, okay? And then you can make a decision on your own. But I'm going to at least tell you why I think you should do it this way. Um, so, so let's actually get going. So, first of all, a little bit of a history lesson, as I started telling you. Way back in the day, there were these DEC VT100 terminals, and thank God we don't live in that time anymore. There was not even a standard about the terminal. The technology used to draw things to the glass, pane screen there had not been established. There was no standard. In fact, for a very long time, if you ever come across a command called STTY, um, that was a move that started way back in the 80s to late 70s probably to standardize how we communicate with the different types of terminals that there were at the time. Now, in 2023, this is no longer an issue. Thank God, right? Every terminal emulator that we're using, and that's really what it is, right? We installed, whether you installed Windows Terminal Preview or you installed iTerm 2 or using the built-in thing or using, GNOME Term or Alacrity, all of those things are terminal emulators, right? And the terminal emulator application in 2023 has become the standard, right? That when we say terminal, that's usually what we're talking about now. We're not actually talking about, an endpoint, a dumb terminal or any of these things right here. We're talking about software that emulates a DEC VT100, or at least is compatible with a DEC VT100. And you're going to see in the configuration of TMUX another thing. It's called VT100-extended. So I don't know when it happened, but someplace along the line there, they decided to extend the VT100 standard and make it support, I guess, more colors, and I don't even know. But that is the current standard. I know for a fact that that's what allows us to do millions of colors on the terminal. And obviously, back then there were not lots of colors, right? There was just by the way, I remember if you had like an amber screen, you were really cool. If you had an amber screen instead of a green one, And by the way, I for the sake of this, I went ahead and put the matrix back on. See, matrix is on and behind me there, just to remind myself of our roots. So that's where it came from. And so the problem, why are we even spending 2 hours on this? Why are we even using the terminal at all? The entire beginner boost has already been focused on being proficient from the terminal, whether it be from the command line of VS Code or from an actual SSH connection or PuTTY or any of these things, right? And I don't want to reopen the question of why should I learn the terminal. The other day somebody in my chat said, "Oh, hey, look, we're learning how to use computers like old people," and I just shook my head and didn't say anything, and I kind of went on with it because this is not for old people. The whole entire world of cloud native is stuff that's running in the cloud that you have to get to, which means you have to remotely connect to it. And the only way to do that is through a terminal, period. It's the only way. So you have got to learn a terminal. So all of this stuff is important. But then, Mr. Rob, but okay, great. You sold me. I got to learn a terminal. But why would I ever care about having more than one window in a single terminal? I can use my Windows terminal application, and I can just have multiple tabs, right? I can have multiple tabs. Why don't I just get really good at switching back and forth between those tabs, right? I'm just going to switch between my tabs. Why on earth would I ever want to, learn TMUX or Screen? Well, the first and most important reason is because every single terminal emulator application does tabs and window management completely differently, right? So that's the first main reason. And you'll get people that'll have sharp disagreement on this, but I'm telling you, I mean, you know how long it took me to just know that, like, what is it? Control tab, like, switches between my tabs, right? or that, I guess, what is it? Control Shift 3. I have to constantly look them up because they're not standardized. So why would you burn some specific terminal application into your memory unless you're going to be on that computer every day, all day? And if you are, that maybe that works for you, but doesn't work for me. So that's the reason. The reason when people ask me what my window manager is, they expect me to say something like i3 or GNOME terminal, and I tell them TMUX. I'm like, that's not a window manager. I was like, hell yeah, it is. If I become dependent on TMUX, all I have to have a dependency on is on a terminal, and I can get a terminal anywhere, really, right? So that's the answer to that question. This is why I think you need to learn it, because you're going to be SSHing into different things. All right, um, so let's actually start digging into. We already talked about a multiplexer. There's actually two other main reasons to use a multiplexer, and these are going to come up. Three, really. These are going to come up, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. We talked about management of the single screen that we have, right? So, doing two things, switching modes between two different actions, managing your screen real estate, they call it, right? That's the obvious reason to use one of these. The second one is not so obvious, and that is for process management. So, and we're going to demonstrate this, but I'm going to tell you about it up front. And that is when you connect to a remote system and you start up Screen or TMUX, and then you do something. You start a backup. You tail a log. Very famously, you start up a Minecraft server. Minecraft does not come with a really good server application, so that's one of the ones where you would start up Screen or TMUX, and then you would start Minecraft inside of that, right? And then you'd get the log, and everything would be spewing across the screen and everything. But why? Because now I can actually close the window, or I can go through a power outage, which I'll tell a story about. I actually did have that, not to mention yesterday. And your server's still up, right? And then whenever you get a terminal, wherever you get a terminal, you can open up a terminal, you can go connect remotely into that machine, and you can reattach to that session. So that is the number two reason, is for stability. And if you're doing a backup or something like that, that's a big deal, right? Now, to be fair, there are ways to background processes and all that stuff. And we haven't gotten into process management. You don't know, process is a running program, and how to put it in the background and all that stuff. The reason that these multiplexers exist, like Screen, is because all of that existed way before Screen, but it's convoluted and weird, and you have to reattach, and it's not. I mean, you can do it all from the command line, but then if you kind of want to switch back and forth and look at the other thing really quickly, it's hard to do that, and so that's why Screen was invented. So that's the second one. You want to keep a connection. And the third one is a little bit harder to demonstrate, but it's actually really cool. You can share a keyboard with one or more people anywhere. As long as they can connect to the same machine, they can share a keyboard with you. I mean a keyboard. So like when you type a letter, they see the letter typed. When they type backspace, it deletes it. Right? So one of the most, in fact, there's a service out there, it's a TMUX service that I'm not sure I can recommend it, because it does have, they are intercepting the traffic. They say they don't, but you can actually go there and get a friend and get a URL, and we'll maybe go look at it if we have time. We got to go through a lot today, and you can go get a URL from them, and you can give it to your buddy, and you can SSH or connect to that same thing, and you and your friends can share a terminal, a TMUX session in real time. And this existed like 2 decades ago. So I always laugh because Vim or VS Code's making a big deal about you pair programming this and that. I'm like, we've been doing that in Screen since 1985, and I don't know where you've been. So it's just funny because they continue to rediscover things that have existed forever, because they didn't know about them, And it is cool. I'm not gonna lie. VS Code is really cool. It's actually really fun to do. Particularly if you're working with students or something, you can all be looking at different code at the same time, and one person can develop code over here. That, by the way, that whole thing is using SSH tunnels behind the scenes. I know because I regularly interviewed, was a participant in interviews with the people who made that technology at Microsoft. I don't know how, but we ended up making connections through Twitter and or something like that, and we ended up regularly talking to them about how we were using it for education to do remote education and pair programming, things like that. And I got to know them pretty well, and they're a great team, and they're using some cool technology there. But it's it's VS Code, right? In fact, that's so. But you can do the same thing with TMUX. So let's get into it. Let's get started doing it. So the first thing is, how do I install, configure, and use Screen? So if you don't have Screen already installed, it's usually a sudo apt install. Um, but let's talk about why Screen first, right? Why not just use TMUX? And the answer is the same type of answer, I suppose, as why you should learn VI and before you learn Vim and NeoVim and whatever, right? Because Screen is everywhere. Screen is in Unix, AIX is by default. It's in, their Screen has been around since very, very early, and therefore it's more likely to be around, right? And TMUX is newer and cooler. It's got a lot of stuff. To be fair, Screen is actually still undergoing active maintenance. It wasn't for a while there. It was kind of dropped. And I was informed like a couple of years back on doing a boost that the Screen team has actually taken it up a notch, and they've added panes and stuff to the Screen program. I mean, TMUX destroys Screen in terms of usability and extendability and everything. I would never use it unless I had to, but sometimes you have to because it's the only thing there, right? So definitely learn Screen first, and that's going to justify the next base controversial statement. Make TMUX act like Screen. Why? Because TMUX, if you learn Screen and your fingers know everything, they know exactly what to do. Then when you have TMUX and you configure TMUX to be like Screen, then your fingers don't have to memorize an entirely different set of keystrokes to do completely different things. And so when we get into TMUX configuration, that's extremely controversial. There's people who say you should be able to use TMUX with the defaults so that you can use TMUX wherever it is without your configuration file. And I agree with that logic. And then there's people that say that you should use TMUX at like Screen, which means that you are completely useless unless you have your TMUX configuration. But those times when you're going to be completely useless because you don't have your TMUX configuration, 99% of the time, that computer will have Screen installed, and it won't have TMUX installed. So those few times that you would need to bring your configuration file over and you can't, they're covered by the fact that you already know Screen. So, and it's a good chance you're on some random system out there. You're not going to have any time to bring your vimrc and all that jazz over, right? You got to be able to use the defaults. And in that case, the default is to not use TMUX. The default is use Screen instead of TMUX, right? And because you have configured TMUX to act like Screen, your fingers aren't going to have forgotten how to use Screen. You're going to be good both ways. So in the cases where you don't have your TMUX config, use Screen instead. And in the cases where you have the ability to use TMUX, but use it configured to act like Screen, so your fingers you have less cognitive overhead, as I say a lot. So that is where we're going to go today. That's where we're headed, and we're going to make a lot of discoveries along the way. Every time I do this, I always find something new, and somebody reminds me I've got a configuration out of whack or something. So. And I don't want anybody here to feel, this is the last thing I'm going to preface before we get into it. This stuff takes time to practice. When I started in 2013, it was still getting used to all the keystrokes and everything. Terminal is like learning piano, right? It takes you a while, and at first you sound horrible, but if you keep at it, eventually you'll be really good, and you'll get the music. And other people will be looking at you like, damn, I wish I'd taken piano. So, spend the time to learn it. And that includes things like cutting and pasting with TMUX, which we'll get into later. and stuff. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is show you how to use screen. And this is going to go very quickly. This will probably be less than 10 or 15 minutes, hopefully, because it's so rudimentary. All right, so let me go back to full screen mode here. What is that, F11? Okay. And then I'm over here, I'm on Git Bash. And you have your audio hall. What are you talking about? Not on 0. Wait, oh, did you hear some echo? Could you hear some echo? How about now? Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Is there still echo? There shouldn't be any more. Is there echo right now? Yeah, maybe it's because it was just barely on a little bit. Yeah, I turned it off. I think I must have bumped my echo. It's gonna drive everybody crazy. I'm so sorry you had to listen to that whole thing. Did it sound epic or just annoying? All right, here we go. Thank you for letting me know. I'll just turn it off. It should be off now, like entirely off. Can't even turn on. I bumped my effects dial while I was dancing like a crazy man last night. By the way, just one little. We're now doing. I'm just gonna say one little quick thing about this. If you want to have an absolute blast with me, come dance at the 80s dance party on Thursdays and Saturdays. Epic annoying, yes. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for saying so. I should have checked that out earlier. All right, so here we are. We're on Git Bash on Windows, and we have a prompt, and I need to log into my server. So this is the moment where you log into your server, right? So if you're using a virtual machine, which you should be, then pop it up, and then do their SSH and connect in, like me. I'm going to connect to an actual server though. By the way, I found all of my old laptops. My wife found them. So we're going to be streaming installation of Linux on old laptops and giving them new life at some point before the end of the year. So we found all the stuff for that. So anyway, SSH, and my computer's name is HPZ640. It doesn't complete for some reason, even in my host file. I don't know why. It's a Windows thing. So here we are. I'm connected over to my machine, and right off the bat, we're just going to see if there's a screen over here. Which screen? So let's pretend like we're logging into a system that we need to administer. We need to see right away if it had screen or if it had TMUX on it. We know it has TMUX on it already because I put it on there. But in this case, we want to know what screen. Now, almost everything has screen. I'm sort of tempted. Let me just try one thing. I'm just out of curiosity. I don't know if Alpine has it because it's running BusyBox. I doubt it, but I would be really pleasantly surprised to learn it does. So let's go check it out. Let's see. Run. Whoops. Which screen? No, it doesn't. Okay. I'm pretty sure Ubuntu. Actually, no. Ubuntu server is really, really minimal, so it wouldn't have it. If you don't have it and you're on Ubuntu Linux, the way to install it is sudo apt install screen. Right? Now, you should have this already, right? If you don't have it, go ahead and get it, right? For the purposes of this training. As I said, the whole point of learning screen is because it's usually installed, right? And if you need to install something quickly and you have access to install something and you don't have access to your TMUX config file, then you would install screen. So it's worth knowing how to do that. Linux Mint didn't have it. Well, I imagine Linux Mint doesn't have it because it wants TMUX, right? As I said, if you've got a modern Linux system, it's almost always going to be TMUX, right? So the reason we're learning screen is because we want to be good on everything, right? We never know what we're going to be hacked into, and be able to use. Okay, so let's try it out. screen. So let's first of all, let's read about it. Man screen. So as you can see, VT100 ANSI terminal emulation. That's what we're talking about here. You can read the whole thing if you want. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So the only real one you need to remember is -R, and that reattaches to an existing session. We'll show you that in a second. You could run commands, but no, you don't need it. You just need to run screen, right? So the only other one I would do is this screen ls. Oopsie. Does it have dash? Is it -L? Oh, that didn't do it. I thought it was ls. Is it -ls? No sockets found. Okay, so screen -ls shows you whether there's an existing screen session or not. That's important because I used to teach beginners, and they would every week they would open up a new one rather than reattaching to the old one. So you might want to see if there's already one running, and that's how you would check it, right? TMUX has the same thing. And then let's go ahead and run it. So when you first run it, it shows you all this stuff, and you can just hit enter if you want to. And the real kind of insidious thing about screen is it doesn't tell you that it's running. TMUX will automatically put a ruler on the by default on the screen so that you know that you're running it. Right now, I don't know. I actually could run screen inside of screen if I didn't realize that. And when you go out, you see that it says, hey, I was in a screen session and it terminated, and that's how you exit. So going in and out, you use screen for the command, and then you go in here and press enter, and you got your session running, right? Now, in order to see, so I have to, okay, let's start the meta key, the meta, leader, special, whatever you want to call it. There is a key combination that tells screen, get ready, here comes a bunch of keystrokes for you, right? Because otherwise, how would you distinguish from regular stuff? And the default on screen, and which I don't even know if you can change it, is Control A. Okay, so I just typed Control A. You can't see it because, but now it's queued up. It's getting ready to accept another command, right? And the next command I'm going to give it is W, and it shows me briefly where I am. It shows me that I am in, zero, screen 0, and you can probably guess Control A 0 would take you to that screen if you needed to go there, right? So that's the first thing. So pause the video and practice that a few times. Control A W to see where you are, right? To see that ruler. And I do believe there's a way you can make that thing appear all the time. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is how to get to the command line. So both Screen and TMUX have their own internal command line. And you can probably guess, just like VI, the way to get to it is a colon. So you do Control A colon, and that takes you to a command line. Now, this is a command line specifically for the Screen application. And there's really not much you can do here, but one thing that you can do that's very important is you can type help, right? And that, I always have to look at this because I can never, there's always like that extra little thing. We're only going to learn about 4 or 5 of these commands today. Just like anything, you'll be constantly adding to what you learn. In fact, just last week I learned some new stuff for Screen that I didn't know. I didn't know you could search through the copy buffer using / I didn't know that, and I'll show you what I mean in a second here. But this is super important, right? And you can keep pushing space. You can see that by doing Control A 0, Control A 1, 2, 3, whatever, you can go to the different windows directly. And it talks about, see how it has split now? Now, something I wanted to show you right here. You see how it uses a bar to split vertically? It didn't used to have split. I'm going to actually try that right now. Where was split? Where was split? Where was I didn't. I want to see where the other one is. Where's the other one? Oh, it's just S. That's weird. It's just S for split. Anyway, I was hoping it was going to be the other one. Anyway, so we're still, and it doesn't look like it, but we're still on screen, right? All right. So Now let's create a new one, right? So we'll type ls over here just so we know where we're at. Now we're going to create a new one. So Control A C for create. And now I can do Control AW, and I see I've got two different ones. Okay. So we've learned how to get help. We've learned how to open the command line. We've learned how to create a new screen. We've learned how to show all the screens that we have, or all the windows, if you want, Windows screens. They're officially Windows according to how they call them. So now I want to go back and forth between them. I have several options for that. So I can do W and look at which one it is and memorize it, right? Let's actually make another one so we have three of them. So Control A, C, and now you'll see we've got a bunch of them, right? And just to, I mean, I could run anything in here. I can run fishies over there. And so now we have fishies running there. And so I can do Control A0, whoops, Control A0 takes me back here. Control A1 takes me to 1. Control A2 takes me to 2. Pretty easy stuff, right? And yeah, we can just clear the screen. Every time you type exit, it doesn't tell you that it's exiting screen because it just exited that one window. And then you can open up another one later, right? So let's try again. I just did a C to make a new one. ls, and then yeah, so, and then to exit, type exit. Okay. That is like the bulk of it, right? So in terms of like navigating between them, there's one other thing to do. Control AA, and you can hold the control key down for this, right? This is what I do all the time, because you got to understand that in the old days, you couldn't split screen in half, right? It wasn't possible to do that. I'm going to try it. I've never done it, actually. Oh, damn. I did not know you could do that. I don't want to use it. I'm kind of scared of it. I am very scared of that. I am not using split screen in screen. I'm absolutely not doing that. But what I wanted to show is that over here you could have man ls, and then you could switch back and forth. And the way you're doing that is I'm holding control down and I'm double tapping A. So it goes back and forth. I can go back and read the documentation and come over here, right? Let's say I'm writing some Go code, right? So I could say Go, I don't know, I could say, let's do a search. Just say hello world in Golang, right? So I can do a search on the internet, hello world in Golang. I'm going to go navigate down to this and maybe find some cool stuff. God damn, that was like a long one. That's a long one. Package main. Every program has a package main. Oh, hey, look, there's a little program in there. Wouldn't it be cool if I could cut and paste that program into my own program? All right, let's do that now, right? So there it is. And I'm over here, and I'm going to start a program, tempfood.go. All right, so got my main, print hello. Let's pretend that's not there. Let's pretend none of that's there. Okay. For none of it's there. Nothing here. All right. So we're in VI. You should, you might be struggling with VI still because you just learned it a couple weeks ago, but go back and watch the video if you haven't. Otherwise, take your time, be patient with yourself. But we want to get this code over to the other one. Now, obviously, I can go over to my mouse and I can copy that, right, using the graphics cut and paste. And sometimes you have to do that, actually. Sometimes if you're using a graphic browser of some kind, and sometimes you have to. Sometimes you can't just use a text-based browser, which we're going to cover in a few weeks about why that's more effective for doing research and for lots of reasons, including the one I'm about to show you, which is cutting and pasting. And, so you can do it that way. In fact, if I were going to do it that way, I just, grab it just like that in Windows Terminal. So Control-C. And then what? And then I double tap A, come over here, insert, and then I right click. And it's like, warning, you're about to paste text that has multiple lines. Do you want to paste anyway? Yes. Okay. So you see what happened there? Do you remember our VI class when we talked about set paste method? Here's a good time to do it. So put on your VI hat here. We're going to do colon, not command A, not control A colon, but colon, set paste. And now when you go into insert mode down here, it says you're in paste mode. That what we just did, that's a VI thing. That's not a TMUX thing. Okay. So, and now we can right click and paste using the command terminal, right? But let's do that exact same thing without the mouse. Let's use the built-in cut and paste buffer inside of the program. So I'm going to go back up, Control AA. I'm back over here. And now we're going to, TMUX has two different main modes, kind of like VI. One of them is called the copy buffer mode. And the other one is the regular mode that we're in right now. So to enter, when you enter the copy buffer, you get basically, what it does is it freezes everything the terminal has seen over the last, however long screen has been on, right? And the amount of data it saves, I think, changes depending on configuration of screen, but it's usually pretty much everything that's happened during your existing session. So, in the graphics world, we would expect to see a scroll bar off to the left, to the right, right? Well, there's no scroll bar here, but it's the same idea. So we do Control A and left square bracket. And if you are using Control left square bracket as a replacement for escape, which I highly recommend because it's the only physical way to do escape without tapping the escape key every time, then you already know how to do this, right? So it's Control A, Control A, and then left bracket. And when you go to left bracket, it tells you where you are. It tells you your copy. It says what line you're on and everything. And now you can move around. And you can use the VI keys to move around. Okay? So how are the VI keys? What are they? H and J, J and K, right? So yet another reason to learn VI, even if you use another editor somehow, is because the J and the K and the H and the L navigation are supported by lots and lots of applications that aren't just Vim, right? Because they expect people to be using that, so they want to use it for navigation. Now, it also so happens that I think the Emacs keys are available as well, which is Control N. Control N is down and Control P is up. I don't even know what left and right is. The arrow keys also appear to work. I don't use those, obviously. But any of those methods will get you to your first line. And once you get to the first line, and by the way, if you go up, you see how it scrolls? I'm just spamming it, right? So that's not a man page. It looks like a man page, right? But this is, you see here is a command line, right? As I said, it just took kind of a snapshot of the entire recent session and makes it so you can scroll through it and copy stuff out of there. And that's useful. That's useful not only to copy and paste, but sometimes you might do something that goes scrolling off your screen and you want to scroll back, but you don't want to use your mouse, you don't have your terminal, wherever. You can use copy mode or scroll mode or whatever to go back. You can go back and go look at it, right? A lot of times you can just run the program again and send it to a pager program, in which case it'll put it at the top and you just push space or something to go down. We covered pagers several weeks ago. But if you don't have that and you're just like, okay, fine. And you want to get good with the copy paste thing anyway, because you're going to be using it all the time. You're going to be using it all the time to copying stuff back and forth, right? So let's go put our cursor at the beginning of this and push space. We go all the way down to the bottom, and then we hit enter. So when that is in marker, I marked where I was, and I went to the thing, and it says it copy and pasted some stuff, right? So how do I paste it? Well, I do Control AA, and I go back over here, and I do I to insert. I'm still in paste mode because I did set paste, remember? So now I can paste it, and pasting is the other bracket. It's the right square bracket. So it's Control A, right square bracket. Now you see what it did there? It did the same thing. That's kind of weird. I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I did that. That was weird. But now it's fine, right? Now we still have some cleanup to do here. And I'm going to actually use my little CMT uncmt, use CMT. I have a little filter that I've written. Uh, I have a little filter program. I'll show you how to make these filter programs, and I can just continue to hit to finish that out so I can get it nice and clean. But because it's a Go program, if I was gonna save it, it would, it would clean it up itself. Okay, and then we can go run temp foo.go and go run our little program. So that's, I'm going Control A to go back and forth. So that's it. That's the copy and paste buffer. All right. And I'm going to take this moment to talk about why you should learn copy and paste buffer and not Vim. So, Mr. Rob, why not use the buffers in Vim? If you watched last week, I told you the story about the disaster. I lost 8 hours of coding probably because I trusted Vim buffers to work. Vim buffers are notoriously bad. They stop where any buffer. So, writing out to a file is relatively safe in every system, no matter what. And I talked about that last week. But, the TMUX and the screen buffers, I've never hit a limit on them yet, knock on wood, right? But they are really, I got rid of ale. Yeah, but I added ale back, and I'm like back and forth on ale, by the way. Somebody mentioned ale. They saw it in my VimRC. Ale is a thing. That's what's caused that little skull and crossbones to appear. So why use the copy and paste from screen and TMUX? And the simple answer is it works everywhere, right? If you learn to use the Vim buffers, a lot of you'll see this. There's a lot of Twitch streamers who do this. They will become masters of Vim, and they will split their screen up using split panes in Vim. Vim has the ability to do that, and they'll go back and forth between them, and they'll use buffers there and everything. And then you try to have them use that same method to copy data from a Vim session onto the command line, or to copy some data that most of these people, they don't use command line terminal research. It takes them forever, and they use graphics browsers, and they're like 10 times slower than somebody who learns how to do it in the terminal. And so they're usually using their mouse a lot, even though they're, trying to use the terminal for Vim. When it comes time to cut and paste something from something, they're right back to their mouse. They might as well be using a graphic browser at that point, and a graphic, text-based editor. And why are they not using VS Code? It would be faster for them, because they're just cutting and pasting with a mouse the whole time. Because why? Because they can't. There's no way for them universally to copy between, any window into any other window, or from one pane to another pane. And you'll see how we can do that in TMUX. You can be, in the example documentation on the same window, scrolling through it, get to a line you want, go copy that line and go up to the pane above it and paste it. Well, the program that's running in the other window is not Vim. It's maybe, documentation program, man page, whatever. And so the short answer is you want to be able to cut and paste between any two things. And also, that cut and paste method that I told you is supported on screen and TMUX, which means it works everywhere. So the thing you want to burn into your muscle memory is what your copy and paste method, you having a terminal only. And by the way, there have been times I've been logged into a remote system, or I didn't have a mouse. There was no mouse at all. And the only way to cut and paste was screen. That was the only way, literally the only way. So it really behooves you to learn it. I think you'll really benefit from it in the long term. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going back and forth. So, and to tell you the truth, my friends, that is all there is to know about screen. The last thing you want to know is how to reattach. Let's simulate a power outage. Okay, let's simulate a power outage, shall we? I'm going to do that. So here I've got. So here's my terminal, right? So, we're going to simulate a power outage or a lost connection by just closing down the terminal tab. Bam! I mean, I just chopped it off at the head, right? And normally when you lose the terminal of a running process, that system, that remote system in this case, reaps everything. It destroys everything that you were doing in the middle, very rudely, unless you have done something with process management to put it in the background, which we'll learn. It doesn't. It just kills it. So if it was a server, your server is now dead, right? So that's bad. That's one of the reasons that we ran it under screen. So what I want to show you is that stuff is all still there, right? So I can start a new session. Let's pretend like I'm logging in for the first time again. Let me go to the big screen. So again, this is Git Bash on my local Windows machine right here, and I have to connect into my server, right? So SSH HPZ 640. For you, it might be your virtual machine. And now I'm back on here, and I'm like, oh, well, damn, that doesn't look good. So then I can do screen-ls, and you'll see, oh, look at this. There's a screen session running, and it says detached, right? Well, how do I reattach? Man screen. And you see that -R is how you do it. So screen -R, which we'll use, you can type it out, but this will use the most recent one. Now, I just hit tab if you want to be really precise, but you really don't even need that. If there's only one, it'll know. And there we go. There's my Hello World program, right where I left it. Everything is still there, including my ongoing internet research that I was doing from that window. All there, right? Okay, so the only other thing that you might want to know about, obviously you can just close the tab if you want to close your connection, but what if you deliberately wanted to detach, right? And that's the last thing we're going to learn. If you deliberately want to detach from a screen session, it's Control-A-D. And I mean, pretty obvious. And it tells you it's detached. And it's still running, but you see now, screen-ls, you see it's there, right? And then it's screen-R to reattach. And even though I'm not going to tell you how to do it, this is something I'll leave for you guys for extra credit to go have fun with. The way that you would share this session with another person is that you would log in and then you would do a screen-R. In fact, I think I might be able to emulate that right now. Actually, let me see if I can emulate this. I think I might have this, what it takes here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video really quickly. All right, we're back. So what I did, I'm just going to show you really quickly. I might run out of power here, but and I don't have a capture card on here, but I have just logged in from my laptop. I could be on the kitchen table. I could be in the restroom taking a potty break, whatever. I've done that before, by the way. And I have logged into the same server that I'm logged into on the server here. So over here, I use Mac iTerm2 to connect into the same HPZ 640 machine where my server is over here. And I'm about to connect to the screen session. So I can do screen-R. And it says that there is already a screen there. So I'm actually going to try. I know how to do this with TMUX. I don't know how to do it with screen. I don't do it every day. So I'm going to try to remember that. Let's actually go read about it. Let's go read about it really quick on the man page. See, does anybody know? If somebody figures this out offhand, please let me know. It's I think it's DR, but I can't remember. Let's see. Attach here and now. Whatever that means, just do it. It is always a good idea to check the status of your session by means of screen-list. Okay, let's try that one. I think the -D is going to disconnect it, though. I don't want to do that. Yeah, that connected it. You know what's funny is that actually took over the control. So I have control of the screen session now, but you don't have any access to it. It's still here. I have access to it now. That's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to detach this one. Actually, no, let's do the same command over here. This is fun for me. So I did -R, and that reattaches. Oopsie. Damn, I got totally busted out. Look at that. The screen is on. Wow, that like really shoved me out. That's cool. I haven't seen that before. I'm trying to have two connect to the same one. It's not -R. No. I know how TMUX is just -A and it works. screen is a little bit different. That's why I'm kind of going through the paces on this. So screen dash D dash RR. Okay, so now this one closed. So what I want to do is get them both to be attached. I want to get them both to be attached at the same time. And I think it's not R because I think R is reattach. I don't remember the command. I used to use it all the time. I'm trying to remember. Because I use TMUX now. So let's go figure it out. And by the way, this is how you would share a session with somebody, right? So include all capabilities, adapt the screen size, terminal. Does not start a screen, but detaches elsewhere. It's not D. We don't want to detach. We want to actually have two at the same time. Actually, let's do a little research. Screen session. Is it the session name? Is it dash S? Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. Is that the one? Let's try this. Screen dash S example. I think it's just S. And then it will just attach to that session, right? It will start a new window within the screen. Dash S, it will start a new window within the screen. This is so long. Why do people put these huge topical guides on things? It's like such a pain in the ass. It's just a man page instead of blah blah blah. I don't know if that's the one. I don't know. Let's go see. Two people connect to screen at the same time. I know I'm getting distracted, but I want to learn this too. So, go to meeting. I think it has to do with the socket. I think it's the dash R. Let's see. Oh, here it is. You can do it with screen which has multi-user support. First, create a new session. Did it. Attach to it. Blah. Turn on multi-user support. Press Control A and type. What? I don't see. Again, TMUX. I know how to do it. You just attach. I don't know how to do it in screen, so we're gonna go look. Multi-session. Control A and type. Yeah. Multi-user on. Multi-user on. I didn't know you had to do that. Multi-user on. Okay. Username. Screen LS. Oh, it's dash X. It's dash X. Oh, I think I knew that. Yeah. Anyway, so let's do that. Let's do, okay, so check it. I'm going to do, okay, so I'm connecting it again. And then screen. Yeah, that's why I was confused. Yeah. There I am. Oh, damn, that is so weird. We're on different screens. How is that possible? Oh my gosh. I just found something out. If you do multi-user mode, two people can be using the same screen sessions and not be forced to share the same keyboard. I've never seen that before. That's what multi-user did. Yeah. This is the way I used to do it. Screen dash S, whatever. X dash S multi. That is so cool. That is so cool because I'm on right now. But what I was trying to show you is that I can actually control the screen and the keyboard. If I do TMUX A and we have two things connected to the same thing, I'll show you that too. And you'll see you actually automatically control the other screen. But that does not appear to be the case here. So that is super interesting. I gotta tell you. Anyway, so I mean, Yeah, look, see, there's my Go program right there. I'm actually looking. Wait, no, I'm on it. I'm on it. Damn, that is so cool. So I'm actually looking at a different window. I'm looking at a different window, even though I'm connected to the same screen session. So it doesn't. What happens if I'm on the same window? I have to see this. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, now we go. There we go. There we go. So if you're looking at the same window as that is so cool. That is so cool. So unlike TMUX by default, Screen lets you have be your user could be in an entirely different window, but if you're sharing the same window at the same time, you both share a keyboard. Watch. So like if I do this, see? Hello there world. I'm controlling this session from the laptop, right? And the lines that are over here, these lines over here, those are lines that are being caused by the fact that this terminal over here is not as big as the other one. So so that's what's going on. That's super cool. Wait. Oh, it does. My little skull and crossbones is not working over here because I don't have support for that font. But other than that, it's totally cool. And we're sharing a session. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you. Um, and now we can move on to the next thing. I am going to take a quick break, and we're going to do TMUX next. And so let's go ahead and take that break now. All right, we're back. Let's go to it. So look, we're going to do TMUX now, and we're going to exit out of our screen session. And now you can do that a lot of different ways, right? Um, I'll let you go look at them. There's other ways to just shut a session down besides typing exit, but the way that's probably easiest to remember is just to get to the command line and type exit, and then when that exits that window, right? Not the whole thing. So I still have another window here. This does take a little bit longer though, right? Because you gotta like exit everyone. Now we have this one, right? So have to exit that one too. And then finally it says screen is terminating. The reason I suggest that you go through that hassle is inevitably when you're starting out to do this, you're gonna think that you're okay to just shut everything down, and you'll miss something that didn't get saved. So just go in and clean up your windows one at a time and type exit for now. And then when you want to, you can go read about the command for just shutting an entire window down, right? There's even a command to shut an entire TMUX session down, maybe 10, 12 windows open. You can shut them all down at once. Um, I don't recommend that too as a beginner though. Okay, so just stick with it, and then you can learn that when you get there. And by the way, when you do learn that, you probably want to do that only in TMUX on your local machine where you're doing some kind of localized development. Doing that, having remotely logged into an AIX or a Solaris box, good chance that you want to be really damn sure of every single thing that's running, and that you don't have some extraneous important process running like, oh, that's right, I was doing that backup or that file transfer that I forgot about, right? So it's just always better to close the window out and type exit, in my opinion. So you can do that. So here I am. This is the same exact situation. I am logged into that server, except for this time I have TMUX, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate an unconfigured TMUX, and I'm going to struggle. You can laugh at me because I don't know how to use the default TMUX. I don't. I just don't. So let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to log into another user. And actually, I started working on one already the other day, so I'm going to remove it. So there's no TMUX config file. We're going to write that later. So there's no TMUX config file, and I'm just going to start up a TMUX session. So TMUX, actually, let's first read it. Man, TMUX, terminal multiplexer, blah, blah, blah. This is TMUX is a huge rabbit hole. It is one of the most powerful programs you will ever see. It has an entire plugin architecture that I suggest strongly that you just don't use. I'm going to show you at least one occurrence of where you can just use plain old scripts to take the place of any plugin that you would ever want. There's an entire portal with just plugins for TMUX and everything. Um, and the reason that that exists is probably worth mentioning is because TMUX plus Vim, particularly NeoVim for certain people, TMUX plus Vim equals, VS Code or Emacs. I mean, that's ultimately why they do it. Because if you take the power of TMUX as a window manager and you combine that with the power of editing with Vim or NeoVim, and I'm not a NeoVim fan, you guys know that. I don't think it brings anything extra to the table for me. But there are a lot of people that combine those two things together. And TMUX plus Vim is, I mean, it's in my opinion, it like blows Emacs away. But that's a raging debate. Emacs is a great tool. It's just not for me. So I respect people that use it very highly. TMUX has plugins, yes, but I've never used one, and I don't think you should use them. Anyway, but as we look at the man page, it's going to be really tempting for you to like try to learn it all at first, right? And I don't want you to get overwhelmed. This is the same thing we did with VI. Remember when we did VI Survive and we learned like 5 or 6 things of VI? And somebody actually said that's the first time I'm not afraid to try VI. Same thing with TMUX, right? There's so much there that can be very overwhelming, but that's where you read about it. The only thing you really need to know, so first of all, let's do everything in TMUX that you would have done in Screen, just to see how it is kind of the same. I'm not a NeoVim user, no. I would easily become a NeoVim user if it brought something to the table. Right now, no one can convince me that NeoVim does anything Vim can't do. So here we go. TMUX, enter. Now I have a brand new TMUX session. As you can see right away, remember that annoying ruler that I told you about? Well, there you go, right? It's there. In order to turn it, you can turn it off. You just have to turn it off, right? It's not on by default. It's also got a lot more information in it. Right away, you'll notice that the Control A, C does not work anymore because the meta key is Control B in TMUX. A for Screen, B for TMUX. It's going to be one of the first things we change, but let's try it. Control B and then C. C is the same, so now we have another window. It's down there showing us which one. Control B1 goes back and forth. Control B0 goes back and forth. And Control BW, like in Screen, same thing. Up and down, JK to go up and down. Those things all work, right? In fact, if you want to type something here, you can go back and forth. So you can go Control BW and you can see a little sample of what's on those screens. It gives you a preview and stuff like that. And you can, the really annoying thing is it doesn't toggle by default. There's no Control BB to toggle. That really annoys me. And I don't even know what it is. But that reminds me, command line. Remember the command line? Control B exclamation point. I'm sorry, not Control B. Control B. Is it colon? There we go. So this also has a command line, meta key, whatever. But it doesn't have very good help. And I haven't been able to figure this out. If you type question mark, nothing. If you type help, nothing. This really bothers me. There's no built-in help to TMUX that I know of. Now you can do control Control B question mark without a colon, and that will give you this, right? And the other thing too that I really don't like about TMUX is that it doesn't support the VI navigation keys in copy buffer mode. So it only does Control N until you add it. You can add it, right? But you have to add it. So there's a lot of things about TMUX that I think they got completely prefix. Yeah, prefix question mark gives you, but this isn't really help. This is just kind of an overview, right? It doesn't tell you about anything. I mean, it's fine. Again, I'm having to do Control N and Control P, which I hate because it takes 2 hands. and it tells you all the commands. You can see there's lots of commands there and everything, right? And to split, to get a new window, to go back and forth and everything. So that's about all I want to cover with this, because I now immediately want to turn TMUX into screen, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the fastest way possible. So if I could get out, I can't even get out of here. I can't get out. What is it? Escape? Yeah, that's so bad. I really don't like the default TMUX settings. I know. I really hate them. Nobody uses the defaults, by the way. Everybody has got some highly customized version, and yeah, it used escape, but control. It didn't recognize Control Left bracket as being an escape, which is really screwed up. So yeah, that's like really messed up. I really don't like default TMUX configuration. Get me out of here. Uh, yeah, the default prefix key. Nobody likes it, so don't feel dirty stealing it, and that's what I did. So the first day I used TMUX back in 2013, I saw somebody was using it. I saw them splitting the screen with panes, and I was immediately enamored with it, which I don't know how to do. I mean, I believe it's percent, right, to switch, but I can't navigate between the windows and everything. I guess use set dash OVI for TMUX. I use set dash OVI for everything. We haven't talked about shell history yet. We're going to talk about that when we get to bash. So here's where we are. We need to change this. We need to fix this, right? So this is where you go out to the internet and you find somebody that you trust, and you find their TMUX config, usually in a dot files. And if you don't want to get mine, you can go to GitHub. I'm just going to show you what I did, right? So you go out to GitHub and you search for, not in mine. Let's like search in everybody. .tmux.conf, and you'll find tons of them. Example TMUX configurations. If you find there's the one that'll tell you how to do SSH, but around that time you're going to find mine. And here's where mine is. Mine is in my dot files. So you go in my dot files, and you go look for .tmux. Where is it? Oh, it's under here. And there's my TMUX. I have several different ones. This is the one I'm currently using. Actually, I just updated it yesterday. And you can click on that, and you can see all of it there, right? Yeah. It will be not when you're in TMUX. No. So anyway, we're going to go through what all of these are and why you might want them. All right. But for right now, you could just click on raw, or you could click on copy. Yeah, the one. You can copy this thing, copy. And there's other ways to do this, but this is how you would do it, right? So vi .tmux.conf, and you'd paste and paste that whole thing. Do you want to paste it? Yes. And that's interesting. It used the right paste mode. That was kind of cool. I must have something in mind that's bad. Anyway, I don't know why those are all moved over. Okay, so now that that's all saved, I can save that and exit. Oh, Neo is still running. Exit, and then I can run it again. Right, and I run it again, and it has a problem. My TMUX config's got a problem, and I'm looking forward to finding it. I added something recently. That's what that junk is at the front. Clear. All right, so I don't know what that is. I added that like 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't spent the time to find it. So that has something to do with my TMUX comp. It's probably my POMO. Anyway, so there we are. You've now got a different TMUX configuration that acts like screen. Let me prove it to you. So the first thing you'll notice right off the bat is that the ruler is much more muted and it's at the top. We're going to go through every line of the file, but I just want to tell you how to get the file, and then we're going to describe the file to you so you can go in and make your own customizations. And we'll probably find my bug while we're at it. And so there, if you add another one, but now instead of B, we're using A. So Control A, C to make a new one, right? And you can go back and forth. Now you can hit A twice, just like in screen. It behaves just like screen. The listing of the same is all the same. That's Control A W. All right. But now I want to show you my personal options for dealing with panes. So if you want to master the TMUX defaults for use of panes, now is the time to stop the video or to fast forward, because everybody else is going to be mastering my specific use of panes, which is similar to the new screen panes, but not identical. It's also Vim-centric, which means that when I split the screen up into a whole bunch of panes, to navigate between those panes, I use VI navigation. If any of that doesn't describe what you want to do, seriously, pause the video right now or stop the video, and you don't need to see, go to the end where we talk about the configuration. We go through each line, okay? Because what I'm about to demonstrate to you is highly specific to me. And the only other people, there's got to be at least 500-600 people that use my format, but I'm not going to pretend that it's the best out there, and you are your own person. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go. Here's how I use panes. I'm going to teach you my way. So my way is Control A, and then I use either backslash or the pipe, which is the same key. It's right above return for me. And that splits my panes into two vertically, right? So now I can have fishies over here. Oopsie. What? No fishies? All right, so I can run Neo over there, right? And then over here, what? I got nothing, right? So how do I get over there? How do I go between the panes? So it's Control A H to go that way, right? And then to go the other way, again, VI navigation, Control A L to go back. And then I can Control C to stop my fishies. Or I can say, I can do like temp, foo.go. There's my program, right? Changing, read-only file, whoopsie. All right, well, we'll make one that's not read-only. How about that? VI foo.go. And it's like over, I can go over here. So you see what I did? I did Control A and then over, right? Now let's actually do some research over here. You don't have this, but pretend you did. Like if you wanted to do it, you're doing some research. We're going to do research in 2 or 3 weeks. How to do, querying from the command line, from how to do web queries from the terminal. And we're going to go look for main.go. I'm just going to do a search. Oh, that's right. This doesn't have DuckDuckGo. I can't do it. Oh, well. Go, I don't know, man ls or something. So, again, we can still cut and paste. So, same as screen. Control A, left bracket. Okay, I'm navigating using VI keys. And I'm going to do this. And by the way, check it. So see how I'm in mark mode? Let's say I want to grab all the text all the way to the word to period right here, right? Let's say I want to go all the way to there. How do I do it? I hit space to start the mark, and I type slash. It says search down to dot. Boom. And it will grab everything all the way to that point. And then I hit enter. And then I hit enter. And then I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to paste. So Control A, L, I, and then I'm going to go Control A and then right bracket. I have to think about it because my fingers know it, but my brain doesn't know it. Have you ever had that before? That was kind of weird. Did it? What did it do there? Oh, I know. It's just off the screen. Yeah. Oh no, I forgot to have paste mode on, right? So colon set paste. Again, that is a VI thing that I just did, not a TMUX thing. So Control A, right bracket, still there. And it's kind of messy, but you know what I mean. And I could sort that out. Now, I happen to have wrapping on right now or off so that it doesn't. It keeps it goes. It's more than one thing on the screen. By the way, this is a good shot opportunity to tell you uh, what to do here. If you wanted to, you can do set wrap, and that will automatically wrap the lines. This is another reason that to use single line huge paragraphs in Markdown, because when they are big lines, they wrap if you've got a pane that's smaller. And if you don't, if you've done like some formatting at hard braked formatting at 70 characters, which Markdown allows, and you're on a pane like this, it looks so bad. Let me show you. So if I go like this and if I format that with FMT, you see how it makes a break there, right? And even worse when you resize the pane, which by the way, you see how you resize the pane? All I'm doing is the same thing for navigating, except for I'm holding control down with my pinky. I'm holding control down with my pinky and I'm tapping the same VI navigator key, L or H, right? And that resizes my window. And my pinky's down the whole time. So that's what I'm doing, right? But what I was trying to show you is like if you get it smaller even, and look at this. Look at how ugly it gets. You see that? Because why? Because it's actually multiple individual lines. It's about this time that it's worth telling you another command. There's so many, so write them down. Okay, pause the video. But let's say you want to zoom in on a pane temporarily. This is very easy to forget, and it's very easy to screw up. But let's say you want to make that pane your window. I'm going to say I talked about this yesterday already, but I'm going to say it again. One of the things that the Primegian and I totally agree on, even though he and I don't really talk at all, is the use of windows over panes. I generally will prefer a full window over a pane and go back and forth. The only time I don't do that is like if I want to have ENTR running to monitor and to rerun my test code stuff in a pane kind of dynamically while I'm in the middle of writing my code, so I can automate running my test cases while I'm writing the code in a separate pane. It's really fun. That's also the reason that I don't do. A lot of people will use like colon build or colon this or that, and like, why aren't you doing that? I'm saying because I can just do that automatically. Anytime a file changes using the ENTR command. There's a good video on that if you want to go watch it on YouTube. I don't know if we've covered that yet. And it automatically does all that really great stuff. And I can show you when we do some bash scripting later, I'm going to show you how to do that and use panes for that. But that would be the only time to use a pane. But let's say you want to go into this pane and make it dominate the whole window temporarily. In my case, I use Control A Z. Z for zoom. Now, this can be very frustrating to a beginner, though. I hesitate to even tell you about it because, as you can see, it says there's a Z there, right? That is the only indicator that you are zoomed. So, and yeah, you can still go back and forth, right? But now there's stuff that's been hidden because this is zoomed in and the other one's not, right? I actually made a macro to detach a zoomed pane and turn it into its own window. That's bonus content. I'm not going to cover that today because I run into this problem so many times. As I said, I prefer Windows, right? I think I want a pane for a while, and then I like get really into it, and I'm like finding some good research and stuff. I'm like, damn, I wish I had a window instead. And it's too late because I started out with a pane, and I'd have to stop the whole thing again. I can't remember how I got there. So, start with the window first usually, but otherwise you can zoom in and out. And there is a way to. You can script the crap out of TMUX. That's what's so great about it. Let me give you an example of that, by the way. So you'll see this is my other beginner boost stuff, right? This is now no longer the same user session, right? So let me just give you a tidbit of how you can script this stuff. So if I'm running TMUX over here, I still have that bug. Where is that bug coming from? It's driving me crazy. And you see I got my prompts and everything, right? So I just want to show you really quickly what you can do. So this is a bash script. We're going to learn how to script. You'll know what all of this means. Before the end of the boost, you'll be able to write this program and you'll know what every single thing does. But what this does is it runs it. See this part right here, this magical banner fish stuff? Let's go look at that. Banner fish. So here we go. This is what I was going to show you. Please don't be overwhelmed by this. This says TMUX split window resize pane, run banner, hit enter, and all this stuff. You see all that stuff right there? It's this big long line of things. You can send multiple commands to TMUX when you start it up. And by doing that, watch, you can do this. So that automatically split my screen into two, started my banner program up here with this thing, and started my fishies down below, and then hid my cursor. I mean, hid my actual, my typing cursor, not my mouse. But you can do all kinds of amazing things with TMUX because you can script every window. And I've used that to do all kinds of fun stuff, like, with the Twitch API and things. So I just want to show you that because I really like that. I think it's kind of fun. All right, back to where we were. But panes are mostly a pain unless you're monitoring something. Get it? So don't forget to unzoom here, and that's just zoom again. So I just did the same thing, Control A Z to unzoom, and then we got this other thing over here. So I'm going to go back over to this pane. All right, so now how do I split this pane, vertically? Well, that's the dash or the underscore. And that's the line, right? So the dash or the underscore is a line. And so this, if you want to make them this way, it's the bar, and it's just very intuitive. It's the key that you would think it is, in my opinion. You can run Neo down here or whatever. Well, actually, C matrix is probably better. We'll run C matrix down there, and I mean, you can go to town on this banner, something. I don't have banner on here. Anyway, so I mean, you get the point, right? That's pretty much it. So replay this video however many times you need to figure out how to do the cutting and pasting. The navigation, the only thing to remember is that the navigation and the resizing are exactly the same keys with one difference. You hold down control if you want to move it rather than navigate to it. And when you're doing it for a while, you'll accidentally let go of the control key and you'll end up switching to the other one instead of resizing. See, I'm holding it down and I'm pushing K, J, 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 But as soon as I let up on the control, I go up there. And if you try to go up, it'll wrap around. It'll just keep going around, and stuff like that. And if you want to go to the right, you do this. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of other ways to navigate around and things, but I'm sticking with the basics for you here because I don't want to overwhelm you, right? And frankly, as I said, I think learning Windows first is more important. So, and that's it. That's it. The main thing, the rest of this session today is going to be going through the TMUX config file, and I'm going to describe what this stuff does. In another version of this, I actually made the changes as we were going, and it just takes way too long to do that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly summarize what that line does. Maybe we'll find my bug, and you can decide if you want to keep it or you want to add it, and then that'll save us some time answering a bunch of questions about what you want from mine. VPS we attach to the same session using TMUX. Nice. Yeah, TMUX is fantastic for that. By the way, let's try, remember that thing I promised you about connecting remotely? It's much easier. It's just TMUX A to reattach. So I'm gonna connect to a different user. I just want to demonstrate this again. Come on, baby. All right. So I'm sudo -su- to the user. So now I have the same user account. I'm logged in remotely. And now I can TMUX space ls. There's no dash in front of it. And I see, oh, hey, there's a window and somebody's attached. TMUX space A. I'll show this on the screen, but I'm going to do it over here. And now you see that this is kind of interesting. So as I said, TMUX automatically shares all the same windows. So now I'm in the restroom, I'm in the kitchen or another room or wherever, and I'm operating this. I'm controlling this. And if you watch my video on Cool Retro Terminal, you'll see that this is how I was able to have Cool Retro Terminal be what displays on my OBS stream and yet still be able to read the screen by using the nice pretty one that you're looking at now. So, because I was controlling everything from a TMUX session, and there was just two different TMUX sessions that were logged in at the same time. Now, some of the problems you'll see here is that if you have if your application is limited in size at all, TMUX does a really good job of showing you which one it is. And I don't know if you saw this, but there is kind of a fight. There is kind of a fight. So like now my Mac is like freaking out, right? Because this one is in control. And so TMUX will kind of fight with its between the sessions to decide who gets to win and how big the thing is going to be, right? So if I like type up and down, watch, it'll do it again. See, it'll like readjust and say, oh, so and so's got control of it, and this is the only thing that they can see. So it makes sure that the columns and the rows are synchronized between multiple sessions. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's the end of that part. So, and again, detaching is the same. Control AD detaches, right? And if I wanted to reattach, so there's still somebody attached over here though. So yeah. And so here we can do this. We can say a TMUX LS, and we see that there is an attached session. That's because my buddy on this other computer over here is attached, and I can attach it with TMUX A, and that attaches. In fact, as I said before, when beginners are doing this, every week they would come into my servers, they would rerun TMUX, and they would end up with like 21 different TMUX sessions running, and I'd have to help them go in there and close them out, right? So in general, you might want to just use TMUX A all of the time when you're as a beginner, because you that way you'll know that you're just reattaching to an existing session, particularly if you are running your sessions from a server where that server doesn't get powered off at all, right? So you want to be sure to do that. Those can kind of pile up over time. So that is it for TMUX. That we talked about the commands. So sometimes you have commands up here, and there is no help here. We talked about this. Oh, this is probably worth doing. You remember we did this with the defaults, right? Well, now you can see all the commands, and you can see the ones that I have changed them to in my TMUX config. And you're obviously able to go change them all yourself. I did not get, I did change the leader to A, but the regular split command is normally %. So some of these things are actually still here. They're still the same way they were before. Most of the stuff that's not compatible with screen, besides panes, it's not something I've ever learned, and nor do I intend to learn. There's really no need. There are a bunch of weird things that will automatically resize your panes. I find these kind of a pain because I do them on accident all the time, and stuff. And so let's actually go through and talk about this. It's better to talk about the configuration file than to look at this help. But this is, this was : and so I'm sorry, Control A ? So this does show you, everything that has been updated. So we're going to go ahead and exit this one. All right. And now we're going to go right into the TMUX file, and we're going to start talking about it. And that will be the end for today. All right. Auto attach for TMUX.conf. It would be nice for TMUX to have a beginner mode that attaches and creates by default. I agree. As I said before, I'm just going to explain what's in this file rather than try to recreate it. It's just going to take too long. Okay. So you can decide as we go through this for the next 10, 15 minutes, you can say, I want that or I don't want that. All right. And there's some of this stuff I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is because it's been so long. But for the most part, I think I have comments in here I can help you understand it. So the very first thing is, changing out that stupid default Control B. So we're not gonna learn the TMUX configuration language. It's as complicated as Vim script. It is really complicated. It's awesome, and you should learn it. That's how I did that really cool, I'll be back soon thing, because you can use it like a programming language. But in the meantime, you can just use what somebody else has. So we're getting this unbinds control B and control A if it happened to be bound, and it resets control A to be the prefix. Uh, that is the prefix key, sometimes called the meta key, special key, whatever you want to call it. So they call it prefix, and that's what this does. That's what set does. And I don't think that's documented. Nope, it's not. So, and this is a quick little way. I made it so if you do Control AR, that it automatically reloads the TMUX configuration. And the reason I did that is so that if I'm in the middle of working on it, so let's actually start TMUX. There's no TMUX running right now. One of the things I like about TMUX is that you know when it's on, because you got to. I really want to find that bug, man. It's got to be. I don't know if it's in my VimRC. I don't know where that thing is coming from. I don't know. I got to go find it. I got to go isolate it. Did we already do something with a bash RC here? I think we did. It's driving me nuts. Yeah. Bash -l. All right. Yeah, that's much better. All right, TMUX. It's still there. Okay, that must mean it's not in my bash RC file then. All right. It's gotta be my TMUX RC. I hope I find it today. You guys can help me find my bug. That what it's trying to do is it's trying to send a clear. Yeah, it is. It's trying to send a clear. Yep, that's what that is. Anyway, wrong file. .tmux. Are we running tmux? Yeah. Okay. Again, we're running tmux because we got a ruler up here, right? So, oh, another thing too. I don't like starting with 0 because it's like way over on the right. So I made mine all start with. We're gonna get into it. .bash rc. Gosh, dang it, Rob. All right. So that's what we're saying. Look at this. What did I actually do that? Idiot. I'm an idiot. Okay, so set -ovi. We're going to talk about that when we do bash rc. Anyway, so now watch. If I do tmux now, god damn. So if I change something, let's see, what should we change? I don't know what we would want to change, but if we want to change something, you can just do Control AR, and it will reload the TMUX config. Okay, that's what that's doing. This is double tap. So I don't know why they didn't put BB in here. This gives you the ability to go between two windows like in screen. All right, so that's what that does. Last window it's called, I guess. Use a difference prefix for nested. Okay, it's worth a brief conversation about this. So it is possible to have a TMUX inside of a TMUX on the same system. But what's more likely is that you're going to be running TMUX on your laptop or on your workstation, and you're going to want to run screen or TMUX on a remote system for all the reasons we talked about, right? So you're using the TMUX locally for screen real estate management and copy and pasting and everything. But remotely, you might want to run screen to keep your session running and any number of other things, right? And that's one of those cases where you'd have to weigh using screen versus just backgrounding the process using process management, which we'll talk about when we do processes later. But you see what I'm saying? So then you go onto that machine. So what this is, and I always have to look it up, but if you do Control Y, what that does is it sends the prefix, whatever it is that got intercepted, it allows it to go through so that it goes to the other window. So if you had a screen within a screen, that would be the only way to get it to there. And it's pretty damn annoying, to tell you the truth. It really is. You'd have to be doing Control Y, Control A, and then stuff, you know what I mean? And so I generally avoid that. I do. I generally avoid having, and one of the ways I get around doing that is quite honestly, I mean, everybody's got a different strategy. That's one of the few times that I will have a separate terminal tab or a separate terminal window, and then it's as if I have two computers on my computer at once, and then I have that one be connected to the remote system, and I have the one that's local into the other one. After a SSH session cuts out, nope, nope, we talked about that. Yeah, no, you just put no hop on the process if you background it. It's process management. We're not going to talk about process management right now, but there is a way to do that without using screen. So, as a beginner, not knowing about that, what you could do is you just open up another terminal window, like I have here, right? I have two different Git Bash windows. These are 100% different. I would call them separate terminals, even. And then inside of there, I can run this one. You'll see me do this a lot, right? So in this one right here, I have TMUX running because I'm managing. I still got the bug in there. This one is the one I'm running because I'm managing the stuff we've been doing, right? But I don't want to have it interfere with the other ones. So I have two tabs open, and I'm going over to this tab over here, and using that to do everything. That's my personal favorite method of doing it. Um, I made a big deal about not depending on separate terminal tabs and that kind of thing, and you can get around it by using the send prefix thing, but it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to remember, the combinations, and you have to do it the whole time and everything. So that's one of those cases where I'd fire up another tab or another window. Um, and it's actually not that hard, but it is a proprietary thing and stuff. So, um, yeah, okay. So we have the pane colors and display. Uh, but more importantly, this is where all of that stuff, this VI is happening. So we are taking over the bar, and we're taking over the backslash, and both control backslash and just backslash. So whether if you're holding the control key down or not, both of them work, and that will split the pane, window. Otherwise, it'll do a vertical split. And there is the dash or the underscore. And I mentioned before I showed you this, that is something that I've never seen anybody else do. So I imagine other people have done it. It seems rather intuitive, but that's why I do it. All right, so then we'll go down here, kill the current window and all panes. So this is something that I actually really, really love. I do this. You'll see me do this all the time. So I'll do some research over here. It's actually sometimes it's just too much work to close it out. So I'll be like, actually, let me show you over here because I have it working. What is up with TMUX? I'll do some research and I'll be like, hey, I'll get on the thing. And then I get my answer and I just want to be done with that window, right? So if I just want to close that window and go back to what I was doing, it's Control A and then it's Shift ampersand, and my fingers have memorized that, and that closes that window without even asking me. It's just very, abruptly, but it's really great when I want to go open up another thing really quickly. So that's why I use that. That's the purpose behind that one. You can decide if you want to keep that or not, but it's very effective. And you'll see me do it all the time. Sometimes I'll even kind of like dance with my hand when I hit it. I'll be like, Control A, boom, because it is a pretty tough combo because it's like Control A and then Shift ampersand, right? But the motion of my hand going to the top of the keyboard kind of like goes with the fact that I just wiped away that entire pane, and so mnemonically, it's easier for me to do that way. You again, this is about you. It's about you customizing it the way you want. Just be careful. I mean, we've already said that if you learn the defaults with screen, you're going to be good, right? Because you're going to be on a system that doesn't have TMUX is probably going to have screen, or it's either going to have TMUX or screen, right? And you most of the time, if it does have TMUX, you're going to be able to bring your config over. So there you go. VI for copy mode. So VI for copy mode keys. I don't know what that one is. Set W. Oh wait, I'm doing that doesn't have. That's the TMUX thing. I can't remember where I got the TMUX documentation. Man, TMUX. What is it? Set W. Set W. Where is the TMUX docs? This has been something that's been so hard to get. I haven't been able to find the TMUX. Every time I go through this, it's the same thing. It's not in the man page. Like the commands are not documented in the man page. You never found them either, right? It is so hard to find the documentation for those different commands. Let's spend a moment together to remind. I have found it before. I just can't remember where. It's not the man page. It's not built in. Is it? No, it's not. I don't think it is. TMUX configuration documentation. If I remember right, that's like the only place to get the docs, right? Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to come back to me now. Yep. It's starting to come back to me now. I remember it was a separate website. Yeah. So that's bad design, man. I do not agree with shipping software that's not documented with the software. I think that's a bad design. It's a wonderful tool. I love TMUX, but you know, that's like copy mode in Vim. Set VI for copy mode. Unbind copy mode escape. I mean, this does have a bunch of stuff. I mean, look, if you want to go become a TMUX Pro, there you go. Now you know. In fact, let's go ahead and add this. Hey, you see what I'm doing now? Can you guys recognize what I'm doing? I'm grabbing this URL. Some of these commands you should start to recognize now when you see me do them, right? I'm going to go down here. I'm going to put a related section. What keys did I just press? Quiz yourself. What did I just press to do that? Yep. You saw me do everything, right? Everything I'm doing. When you're watching me now, when you do co-working stuff, you can say, how did you do that? And now you know. You'll know what I was doing to do the copy and paste. Yeah, you got it. Yep. So, not control M, no. Hell no. And so anyway, so that's where you can go for that documentation. And let's go through the rest of them. tmux.conf. My vimRC's off because it didn't remember where I was. I don't like that. Meta X kill Emacs. Yeah. I mean X. I have X disabled. I'm pretty sure. So I have VI mode keys. I have VI command status. I have VI keys to resize. So this is the thing, and by this is the increment, by the way. This is by one at a time. So remember, I told you about splitting the pane. Right, and then navigating between the two again is VI. Uses VI-ish keys. Here's the way you navigate between the panes. JK, H, and L. Customize, create new window for streaming. This is a special command that I made that you probably don't want. I don't even remember doing this. Damn. Oh wow, I gotta unbind that. You guys should delete this. Don't use this. That might be where the error is actually. So it's a good example of showing you what you can do. You see, by adding the semicolon here, I can have one thing. So what I did is I took over Control C. Remember how Control C makes a new thing? That's got to be my error. When I did Control C to make a new thing, this took over my normal Control C and it automatically inserted a 19 column blank pane to the right that goes right where my face is, so that the chat could be there. And then I would put the chat in that area so that, like right now, you can't see it because it's kind of behind on my stream. You see that? So what I did is I took over the build command. I mean that command, and then I had it I mean, I had the control the create command. I mean, and I had it so that it would automatically push over a pane. It would make a pane to the right every time that was blank, and then I would. That's where my chat would go. It's kind of a hack, so definitely delete that. You don't want that. I need to make sure that's out of the main one too. I do. I need to get that out of the main one. Anyway, you can delete that. List keys. Well, that's the same as a question mark, isn't it? Is it not? Oh yeah. Okay, that's better. List keys is definitely better than the question mark. Yep. I like that it sends you exactly what it is, right? That's really cool. Thank you for that. That's a great tip. That's a great tip. So that is a better version of Control A question mark, which just gives you the really quick and dirty. I like that one much better. List keys looks really great. And now we know where the documentation is, so you can go look at that. Avoid cursor movement messing with resize. Yeah. So this, I strongly suggest you go with this. You know when you split the screen, right? So if you don't have that repeat time in there, you'll end up navigating instead of resizing. So, like, you know what I mean? That's what that does. And I spent a lot of time tweaking it to get the number right. But that's what it does. And then we have colors, clock, and stuff. You guys know about the color, the clock. The clock is just T, you know, and you can put that. I don't ever use that, but you can do that. And you can decide which one you want. I used to, you see how it says screen 56? That probably needs to change too. That probably should be an X term instead. This should probably change. I don't think I have millions of colors on here. This is super hard to get right. I think there's a new one. I think there's one you can use as TMUX. This will affect your ability to see millions of colors. And yeah. Right now it's in 256 color mode, and that's not what you want, right? So you probably want more than that. And some people were telling me not to use X-term colors. I'm trying to decide what to use. We should probably look into this one, actually. Does anybody have a good one? But anyway, you know, you can use the default, probably. Actually, let's just use the default. Let's just use the default. All right. Let's use the default. Oh, I'm going to try my reload thing. Remember we did a reload? Because otherwise I have to close all my sessions, right? So it was a Control A R. All right, so we should have a new session. Screen doesn't have thousands of colors though. Yeah, and I don't know if my program is over here. I don't think I have it over here. Sunrise. I have a couple programs that are like all color that'll show you this kind of thing. Term colors. Let me go look over here. Term color. Color strip. Okay, see that? You see how that's all blocky? Yeah. Let me see if I can fix this. The reason it's blocky is because it's not doing millions of colors, because my terminal is being registered incorrectly. Yeah. So if I know this has been fixed. This got fixed in my workspace container for some reason, but it's not working here. And it makes me need to go. I should probably go look at the setting for that. And should we just go look at it really quick? I'm just gonna go look at it. So I guys know I have a workspace container, right? I believe I corrected it in this one. Yeah, so I think it's broken here now, but share Figlet workspace. I it could be something else. It could be something in the yeah. This is an older one too. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go look. No, same thing. 256 color. Huh. I don't know what else is breaking it. Something else might be breaking it. I don't here. When we get into terminal color, which we'll do later, we can get into all of this stuff. X term 256 color. Huh. It's not an X term though. I wonder if I were to do. It's supposed to say screen. Yeah. Term equals. No. Anyway, I'll figure it out and get back to you guys. But it's not that part I've been working on quite a bit. Yeah. Something you should know though that this right here overrides whatever the environment variable is. So, you know, I'm gonna try this one. Maybe let me try this one. Let me see if I can try it. This is not important, but colors do matter. Terminal. I'm curious because I actually got it to work, and I'm just wondering what's causing it. So I want to try some of those ones first. Let's go reload that. Nope. I mean, you'll know when it's working. It's beautiful when it works. Nope. Well, I'll figure it out. I don't know if it's the Windows terminal or if it's I mean, it's not Windows terminal because I've had it work before. I don't know. I don't know. It's not worth wasting time on. Really hard for me. Hey, how are you? Um, to give that up, I can't look away. So just leave the defaults there for now. Y'all can have the defaults and I'll just get rid of it. Clock mode style 12. You can do that. 24 if you want. Color base paint index 1. This is because I don't like 0 being the number, right? Because I want 1 to be the first one instead of 0. Die. Just be careful right next to CC. Color the main borders nearly invisible. So this stuff here is why my borders are not this obnoxious color. You see how they're kind of muted. I absolutely hate really bright lines between my panes. I used to have nothing between my panes. I actually hacked TMUX. I have my own hacked version of TMUX that doesn't. It wasn't a very hard hack actually, that does not have anything in between, because I was just I don't like it. I don't like the just the distraction of the line in the middle. So that's what that's about. This is a pretty good attempt at these. These colors are all CSS, by the way, if you know that, which is another reason everybody should learn a little bit of web dev, even if they don't get into it heavy, because that's CSS colors. Color of the window selection background. Yeah, that's, background equals black. This is for when you're picking things. So that's the black. That's why you get the black there. Very unique Mac thing. This, I don't know if this bug still applies to Mac, but I've left it in here. I found this some years back, and it fixed some problems. So you can keep that in there if you want. You can get rid of it and see if it matters to you. The rest of the stuff is all based on making. Color stuff is all based on making it work with my theme. with my Groovebox theme, right? So just having a terminal theme isn't enough. You have to have your applications know about that theme. And I had to kind of tweak some stuff. So I put the status style as this color. That's what this color is. That's why it's dark. You see how it's dark? Because again, I didn't want it to be. Let's actually mess with it. Let's like make it 88 or something. Oops. Yeah, save it and then oopsie. Yeah. Oh, I got two files. I had the file open twice. Bad me. All right, so now watch. Now I can reload it. R. You see how I did R and it reloaded? Control A R and it reloaded. It looks like that was the foreground. Yeah. Um, can we do BG equals? BG equals black. Ooh, wow, look at that. So Control A R. You can sit here. You can mess with it all you want. I mean that's atrociously ugly. I'm gonna get rid of that. Control A R reload. Put this back to what was it? AA. There we go. Oh, it's kind of pink again. Now you can't stand the default terminal colors after Groovebox. Yeah, I really like it. I do. Status background default. Status position on the top. This can be on the bottom. That's the normal one, by the way. Is down the bottom. I don't like that because I can't see it. Another reason I don't like it at the bottom is I put all my Vim stuff down there, and then I have my terminal stuff at the top. It's just my preference. I mean, that's a very personal thing. I'm sure people don't like that. Um, the reason I have so like if I open up a command line, for example, I know immediately that it's a TMUX command line because it's at the top of the screen. Whereas if it's a VI command line, it's at the bottom of the screen. You see what I mean? And since you're using VI and TMUX, having the one command line up above and the one below is a nice separation. I like it. Um, Set interval 1. This status interval is how many seconds to update the status bar. And normally it's like 5 or something. And I set it to 1 because every second I want that status bar to redraw. And the reason for that is because you can do some pretty cool things, such as a Pomodoro timer. Pomo start hour. This Pomodoro timer, we're going to get to it, but that Pomo timer, that is this is an emoji. This is just, the reason it looks animated is because that status bar is updating every second. And sometimes it gets it a little bit wrong. Right? But that's why we have that set to that. Was it AA? Was 66? Thank you. Reload. Okay, there we go. Oh god, so much better. All right. So and then I set the status on the left to nothing. So status is nothing on the left. If I put something in there, you see it'll put it there, right? Now, if you want to put something in there, you can. You can actually make it dynamic. Yeah, you can make it. You can put a command in here, like have it be like, I don't know, the date command, right? And now you get the date. Put some spaces in there. Wait, what's going on? It's not quite showing the whole date, is it? That is kind of a hard thing. Is that the status left length is 78, so we probably have to improve that. Yeah. There we go. And you get like a timer even. This guy tells you down to the second because it's updating. You can have all kinds of fun with this. And by the way, you don't need Oh My Z Shell or something like that. Just TMUX by itself can give you everything you ever wanted in terms of status, I think. You found the override? You fixed my color strip. Oh, you are the best. Let me go see if I can. Let's go fix the color strip. You did? What was it? Terminal noise X term 2d6 color. Maybe it just wasn't loading. Set dash SA. Is it SA or GA? Terminal overrides. Star TC. Yeah, this is what people uncomment the line below it. This one, the default terminal. This one, right? Do I have it right now? Do I wonder if I have to start a new one? I wonder if it's not reloading for some reason. Yeah. And you had SA instead of GA. I think GA just makes it global. I think. It's possible that it's not loading it. It's possible that my loads are not taking for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. Did it really? Okay. So let me do a command line load. So it yeah. I mean it works in the other I don't know why it's not working in this one. Let's just try it. I actually think I have something else wrong with my terminal. I really do. I do. I think something else is wrong personally. But I'm glad to know that it's working for everybody else. That exact same TMUX configuration does work with that millions of colors because I've seen it work before in this boost actually. So it might have something to do with my other, my Vim term or something, or my Windows preview or something. So thank you for finding that out though. Yeah, it's outside of TMUX, I'm pretty sure. All right, so here we have a date that we just added up there. Thank you for finding that out though. So you can do all kinds of stuff here, my friends. This is you can delete this. When I was doing streams for a long time, I used to have the title of my stream in the status bar, right? So I would do something like, you can do emojis too. It's kind of fun. You could say SKILSTAK beginner boost. Oops. I am doing, SKILSTAK beginner boost to 2023 week. Whoops. Week. Is it 12 or 11? I can't remember. What week are we on? 11. Okay. So I'm old. That's my excuse. What's yours? All right. Save. Reload. So we know reload is working, but you see that down there? Right there, right? I used to actually have that at the bottom because it was kind of nice to have. And I at one point I had a countdown timer that would count down the number of days until the next skill stack started. And you can probably tell already that these things are just commands, executables, scripts, binaries, whatever. Anything that can be executed, the way you put it in is just with a pound sign. That's it. Isn't that cool? There are a bunch of things you can pick from directly if you want to, but you really don't need that. You can just call a program, and do stuff that way. You can make the status of different colors and stuff. Obviously, that's like really really hard to read, and that is the main reason that I don't do that at all. So you won't see me doing a lot of this anymore on the stream because it just distracts from my editing session, and I don't like it. It must be additive. Look, it didn't change it. How interesting is that? It didn't change it. That's interesting because that the color thing must be the same thing. It's not changing the existing one that was already there. I have to clear it out, which means it's probably additive. It probably is just layering the config on top of the other one. I bet that's the problem. So I'm gonna have to start a fresh session. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so status left is blank, and now I'll reload that, and that took us back to where we were. Okay, here's the Pomo thing right here. There's a whole video on how to get the Pomo timer to work for you. rwxrob/Pomo if you want to get that. And once you have the Pomo timer, you have to have the binary. But once you do, once you have the Pomo timer, then it'll draw it up here if it's on. If it's on, it'll draw it up here, and it'll do the countdown for you. And by just running the program, I mean, if you run this program just on the command line by itself, all it does is it always prints out the thing. So the only thing that TMUX is doing is every second when a status line refreshes, it just runs the program again. And you can make all kinds of really cool things. You could actually make 1 second animations if you wanted to. You could have like a, I don't know, like a marquee if you really wanted to be annoying, that kind of thing. So I think we're about ready. We're getting very close to being done. We're 94% through this file. So here we go. The foreground is red for the different messages styles. That's because of this. I like red for my command stuff up here. That's what that was. Disable statuses. You can actually turn this if you want it to behave like screen, turn it off all the way. Yep. You can turn it off all the way. And now it's exactly like Windows. Now the only way to see it is with W. Right? And I got to tell you, I don't like that. I don't. I want to be able to see something. So I'm going to turn that back on. But you can leave it on or off if you want. And let's see, fix accidentally type accent characters. Oh God, this was so hard. By forcing the terminal to not wait around for every single TMUX should have this. There's some weird combination in certain systems that have diacritics and stuff like that would automatically type an E with an accent or something, right? And this didn't affect me for a long time because I was on a computer that didn't have that, an operating system that didn't have that. I think it was Linux. And then I think I ran into this either on Mac or Windows. I can't remember. But that was when I read about it. And you think the reload key, okay. So, and this is the fix for it. And suffice it to say that this prevents you from accidentally typing letters that have characters over them. I'd be super interested to see how that affects, our French speakers, our francophones, and our Russian speakers and people like that. I don't know if they would be affected by it or not. I would be really interested to know if that affects their ability to code, bottom line, and to enter data and stuff, because they do use those key combinations all the time for diacritics. But that was an absolute savior. I had to put that in there, because otherwise it was like waiting around. I would type, and if I typed something else too quickly, it would combine them together and make a thing. I'm like, why did it do that? And it was because of the escape time. I typed them so quickly that it combined them and made them into an accented character. And setting the escape time to 0 means I never want to wait around because I'm never using any kind of combination for that. So I don't know, that probably won't work for some internationals, but I definitely needed it. Let's see, form, Vim, TMUX, do-it-yourself buffer sync. Focus events. I don't remember focus events at all. I don't remember them. I think this comment is wrong, actually. I think that used to be in there and I deleted it. There was at one point I was trying to synchronize my buffers from TMUX and Vim, and I turned it off. I did. I turned it off. I don't know. What are focus events anyway? Did you guys find out? Do you have one last thing to look up? I don't know what's a focus event. What is TMUX focus? I don't know what that is. Let's go look. What's the correct way to say focus events? My TMUX returns the following error: unknown commands on focus events. Set up some focus events on. Why are you trying to run TMUX as a shell script? I don't know what focus events are. Focus events. When enable focus events, there's a man page on this. Why has this man page got more stuff in it than the man page I have? Maybe it doesn't. There it is. Okay. When enabled, focus events are requested from the terminal if supported and passed through to the application running in TMUX. Attached client should be detached and attached again after changing this option. Interesting. I don't know what that is. I imagine it's integration with Vim and stuff like that. Set the terminal to keyboard content to external escape sequences. Anyway, I mean, you can have a look at it, the rest of it. But that, I mean, obviously the fundamental reasons for all the changes that we made are to get it to act like VI and screen. Bottom line, that's what we did. That is really the end of our day today. And we went pretty long, but I feel like we got it done faster. Let me just make sure we've covered all the topics. How do you customize VI and Vim? That is not this week. That was last week. What is a multiplexer? How do I install and configure a use screen? We talked about that. Why should I use TMUX? What's the difference? Talked about that. How do I install, configure, and use TMUX? Copy somebody else's file. Read the man page. You know what? I put the wrong thing in the wrong file, didn't I? Oh, Rob. I did. All right, here we go. So there's the guide. It'll be in the show notes. How can I extend TMUX? Why not use Vim panes instead? We talked about that. So we hit all the bases here. The rest of this is going to be slow, patient learning. Anything worth learning is worth learning, slowly, and effectively. We do need to end though now because at 2:00 we're going to have our book reading. We're reading Peter Attia's Outlive. If you want to join me for that, we are on chapter 3. We just finished chapter 3, and it's really good, by the way. I can't wait to talk about it. So that's what's up. Be patient with yourself. Learn TMUX. Become a wizard. There's very few things that make you look like a terminal wizard that are better than knowing how to split panes and cut and paste using TMUX. And as for next, what are we going to learn next? I've been trying to decide whether we should learn. What do you think? We could either use, we could either learn, I'm trying to decide whether should learn Bash and Bash scripting before we learn links. I think we should probably learn links because you know enough to do that. Let's do links next week. Let's do links and let's do terminal-based browsing next. The only problem with that is, actually, that's probably a really good segue into scripting because in order to make that work, you're going to be copying scripts from the internet and putting them in your directory, and that'll be the beginning of a long and wonderful relationship with Bash scripting. So, I think that's probably good. That's a good idea because then we can actually start doing, command line cutting. All this stuff with TMUX, the whole cutting and pasting from the terminal is not as valuable if you're not browsing from the terminal, right? You're not looking at documentation and stuff like that. So let's do that. Let's do next week. We'll do text. What I want to say, I call it text terminal-based browser research, terminal-based research or browsing, whatever. And by the way, it's not just links, right? It's links, it's W3M, it's knowing how to use curl and wget if you need it, when to use wget versus curl, and that kind of thing. And, when search and research, right? So that does include usually learning find, which we didn't really get into find before. I've been trying to combine all of the abilities to do research, those crazy things. Yeah, I think research using links is my favorite, and we'll talk about where it came from, why, and all that. So let's actually do that next week, and then you will have to install a links config, which no one on the planet ever wants to have to maintain for themselves. We'll do that next week. Uh, just trust me on that one. That's like not a thing you want to. I'll show you, and you'll see. Um, and then, well, there's a script that I use that helps it work better, and then we'll download that script, and that will be your first script that you install. Um, Terminal-based research is not the kind of thing that you want to set up on a bunch of remote systems like all the other stuff we've been talking about, right? That's actually something you want in your nice, cozy, workstation or laptop. You want to use that all the time. You don't ever want to install it anywhere else ever. So always local. So that's, and by the way, TMUX, when you combine TMUX plus Vim plus links web-based research, you're talking about a really really powerful terminal workstation workflow. So happy to talk about that next week. Grep NRI is not as good as Find. We can have that debate another day. It's great. Grep is great, but not even close. You can do so many extra things with Find. Like, oh, I don't know, run a command on every single file that matches. Try that with Grep. It's just good to. They're both good. They're both good. But I hope you really liked this week. It was hard for me. I had to do this whole entire boost twice, just in case you're wondering. I'll say the normal thing. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Please let other people know. If you don't like you subscribe, you can let me know in the Discord or the comments if I'm getting something wrong. My echo is on. Thank you for telling me that. Um, I know I don't have a lot of flash in the stuff that I make because I just don't have time. Look at how dirty my room is right now. You know what I'm going to do for the rest of my Sunday? I'm going to clean my room like a good person. So, but if you like what you see, please, get up sponsorships, likes, all that jazz, or come on in and hang out with us. We're going to look for somebody to raid on Twitch, but add to our YouTubers. We'll see you next week, and we'll learn how to do wicked fast terminal research. How about that? We should figure out a way to make a fancy thumbnail for that so people will want to see it. Like have some exaggerated, hyperbolic, face in my thumbnail. Bye.